Health Clinic. I did my PhD research there. And there's a tremendous amount of data that's stuck in paper forms, and that's why we built the company. Today, we're really proud to announce the public beta of our self-serve data entry service. It's an election year, so Sherry over here, she is up day and night trying to tally a recount ballots. Let's see how Captricity could help people like Sherry. So she logs in, clicks a big button to create a new job, and she uploads her form. For her, it's the empty election ballot. See, there it is. And that's it. What she sees next is a set of step-by-step instructions to define fields that tell Captricity how to extract the data from those forms. All she does is draw boxes. And so she draws one box over the president area. She titles it and gives it the choices, the names of the presidential candidates. And she's going to keep drawing boxes. The next one will be over the senator area. And she titles it and gives the choices. What she's interested in is the Norm Coleman, Al Franken election. She wants to make sure she gets the write-in choices as well, so she draws a third box. She only wants those 3 fields from her ballots, and that's all she'll do. And so she's done. After pressing next, the last thing that Sherry has to do is to upload her forms. And so she selects them from her desktop. You can put in 5 or you can put in 50,000 through this interface. It doesn't matter. She can check them, and they're queued for upload. Once the upload is done, she confirms, and that'll take her to a summary page. There she'll see pretty clear calculation of how much it's going to cost, 20 cents a page. She clicks Submit, swipes her credit card, and she's done. She's completely done with data entry. That's all she has to do. She can go take a lunch. When she comes back, she'll find an email in her inbox. And clicking through, she sees this interface. It's her results. Each row is one of her ballots. She can click to see any value, and she wants to check some values. And so she clicks on that blank value there, and it turns out that somebody had voted for O in the Norm Coleman, probably a Republican. She hits Export, and she opens up her data in Excel. In Excel is where she's doing the job that she's paid to do. She's not a data entry clerk. She is supposed to do the analytics that confirm Al Franken victory in Ramsey County. Let's see another example. So Andrea is a survey researcher, and she's uploaded 10,000 pages to us, over 400 pages, 400 columns. Most of her data are scans. You can always see all of the scans by clicking on the row header. But some of her data, they're iPhone photos. You see, when we got them, we actually had to fix them. You can see they're a little bit warped on the edges, because when we got them, they were upside down and sideways and warped, and we automatically take care of that. Now, for Andrea, the most important thing is data quality. And that's why for every box that she draws, we actually calculate, or we actually create on the fly, a custom OCR engine. And on top of that, up to 5 different pairs of human eyeballs will make sure that those values are correct. But she doesn't actually have to take our word for it. She can go and look and check every single value herself. Let's see some more examples. So teachers can use Captricity to grade exams. Historians can use Captricity to digitize old archives. Administrators can use Captricity to get handwritten feedback. And field agents can use Captricity to digitize weekly reports. So you can't OCR that table. Now, we think that the coolest applications powered by Captricity actually be built by developers. And that's why we're also proud to announce the private beta of our Digitization as a Service API. We think that it's going to be really cool, and we have some cool examples. We're working with SurveyMonkey to do mixed mode surveys, both paper and electronic. And we're also extracting data from viral forecasting databases directly into databases for prediction. So if you'd like to sign up, please join us.
Great.
Up to now, Captricity, only banks could do digitization, and they can only do it with like 1 million records. But with Captricity, anyone can do any number of forms on demand and self-serve. Thank you.
Awesome. Well done. OK. So Dave, you've already invested in this company, and actually the way I found out about it was I had asked everybody what are any great startups that are going to launch, and you told me about this great one. So I guess we can start by why did you invest, and then we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so we've been working with Quang actually when he was in grad school on a separate project and was really impressed by him, and he came to me with this idea. And I thought there was just a huge amount of application if he could really get it to be simple and easy and the cost at a fraction of what it would normally cost to get down. And so that's what they've delivered today. So, you know, that was the thesis. So, you know, I'm pretty excited about it, and I'll leave it at that.
Great. Feedback from the rest of the panel?
I think that was a great example of an elegant solution in product design, and you know, you can't get much better than that in terms of what you hope to see. So kudos to you on that. There's also quite a lot of good that it can do in places like where you did your doctorate research around the world, where, you know, I think, you know, increasingly over time we're going to be using tablets and mobile to input information, but around the world it's going to take a lot longer for that kind of echo boom to spread. So a lot of that data that's locked into paper and getting unlocked, and then throwing on top of that your kind of, you know, F8 type of developer strategy is really interesting. So that was neat. Really neat.
No, I loved it for a couple of reasons. Number one, you know, I see a lot of startups, you know, today that are solving a problem where the pain point's not that big. And they're substitutes, you know, like if I want to communicate with my wife, there are a lot of substitutes for, you know, for Couple Street that may not be perfect, but they're not extraordinarily painful. The substitute is extraordinarily painful and expensive. So you build an elegant solution for a really big problem for a lot of companies. And there are two sides of it that are intriguing to me. Number one, the one that's just very obvious, get this stuff into digital form and be able to analyze it. But number two, there's this inherent good for businesses to have stuff out of paper and into digital format. I used to run the Secretary of State's office in Indiana, and I can, you know, like we have warehouses full of fucking paper that nobody can analyze, they don't know what to do with it, and literally you could do massive contracting projects with the federal government, with state governments to make this digital and then make it analyzable. So I think it's very interesting.
I think one of the problems is that these problems are incredibly expensive, and so if you're cutting the cost of what it takes to digitize these documents, that's a huge win. So it's very cool.
Great. And I think the API is just a great way to go, because who knows what the street will do with this. I mean, this technology is so interesting that if you could make it work through an iPhone just by having an app or taking pictures and then uploading it, you could be, you know, taking anything and organizing it. It's Mechanical Turk, I guess, is a component of this, or is it your own people? How do you get the data entry, and how many people can I put on it? If, let's say you have a vote that looks like it's hard to determine, can I then say, if, you know, 3 people don't agree, expand it out to 10, and if 10 people don't agree, expand it out to 30, or some sort of logic like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we essentially do is we take some values from, right now we use Mechanical Turk. We're in talks with some captive providers who will give us, you know, dedicated resources as we grow. But we take their input and we build an OCR engine, essentially, a machine learning classifier. Right. And we take those results and then we check those results with, just like you're saying, 1, 2, 3. We never really get beyond 4 or 5 before we're pretty sure what the answer is.
Great. Let's hear it. One more thing.
I just have one question. Do you have like a rough opinion about what the to this point about how enormous the problem is? What's the cost of somebody to deal with it, even if it gets dealt with? Recognize there's a lot of stuff that doesn't even get dealt with, versus what you guys charge. I'm just curious, what's the gap?
The right answer is that it depends so much. A lot of a lot of projects get undertaken by big organizations to scan. And so there's lots of regional scanning companies that would go in. And that could be anything from 10 cents a page to, you know, something more, something less. I'll tell you that insurance companies will pay someone to go into a hospital and just to extract that record, and they're like $20 a chart. And so that gives you an idea.
That's great.
Let's hear it for Captricity. Well done.